we've got 4p squared equals 3 minus p, all right? So in the delta math, we had to move things over to the other side to get them equal to 0. But then we had to combine like terms, right? So this one, right, we just have to, it has to equal 0. Remember I told you it has to equal 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is add p to both sides. So on the left, there are no like terms. So now what we have left on the left side is 4p squared plus p equals 3. Okay, so I'm moving that p over to the other side. Okay, we're moving it over to the other side. So we add p to both sides.
Why wouldn't it be 4p squared plus, because you have to get a 3p?
We haven't done anything with the 3 yet. I'm doing them in separate steps. Okay? Because, good question. I don't want this to be negative. You could, but I don't want it to be negative.
Yeah, I think we'll get it.
Okay, listen. Sometimes you just have to trust me. Later when we factor, if this is negative, that's going to present problems. So I don't want that negative. I want the p squared to be positive. Okay? That's an excellent question, and it definitely looks easier to do that, but it's going to lead to problems later when we're solving these equations by factoring. So this is one of those times where I'm just going to ask you just to trust me, okay? And let's leave that positive. It's not incorrect, okay? It's not incorrect if you moved it over to the other side and you had it as negative. That's okay. I want you to leave it positive because later, when we learn how to solve these equations by factoring, if that's negative, it's going to present problems for us, okay? So it's not incorrect right now, but I don't want to build those habits, okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so what I'm doing now, right, I need my quadratic equation to equal 0. So right now, I have to get this stuff to the other side. We get it to the other side by doing the opposite. So there's a negative p here, so I added p to both sides. How can I move the 3 to the other side? Subtract 3 from both sides, okay? Now this is what Kaya was saying, right? So it's different than the delta math. It's actually easier, but what's different is that there's nothing to combine it with. It's just kind of there. It's not like we're adding it to something that's already there. So we're just going to rewrite this 4p squared plus p minus 3 equals 0. So when we were doing the delta math assignments, it was actually more complicated because we had to combine like terms and then do it. But we don't have to do that here. Okay? Okay, now it's in the correct form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay, what's the quadratic formula? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There you go. Okay, so let's do it. X equals, what's the b in this case? 1, yeah, so that's negative 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's 1 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 4, times C, which is negative 3, all over 2 times A, which is 4. If you solve this problem in the beginning by moving the 4p over instead, right? That's okay. When you plug it into the quadratic formula, you're going to have different signs. You're going to have a negative 4 here and so on. But it should work out the same, okay? Okay, so now let's simplify this. X equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1. Now this is going to be plus because I've got a negative times a negative. So it's going to be plus. So I have 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 3 is 48. All over 8. Okay. So we have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 49 over 8. Okay. What's the square root of 49?
7.
There you go. Negative 1 plus or minus 7 over 8. So we have x equals negative 1 plus 7 over 8. And x equals negative 1 minus 7 over 8. So negative 1 plus 7 gives us 6. So we have 6 over 8, which reduces to 3 over 4. It's a fraction, but that's okay. Fractions are answers. And here we get negative 1 minus 7 gives me negative 8 over 8, which equals negative 1.
Okay, so I
Wait a minute. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, yes.
so when I did that problem, like on the worksheet,
Uh-huh.
I did negative 4p squared minus p plus 3 equals 0 because I did negative p squared minus, like I subtracted the 4p squared
Mm-hmm.
from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I still got the same answer, so does it matter
Huh.
if you do it?
Huh. Okay, does it matter?
It does?
Does it matter? What did we just say?
I don't know.
So, okay. You will get the same answer.
Okay.
However, I don't want you to do it that way.
I did it that way for the whole worksheet.
I know.
Okay.
That's okay. But from here forward. And the reason is it's not incorrect in this case. It's not incorrect in any case. However, it will lead us to potential struggles later. Because after we learn how to solve using the quadratic formula, we're going to solve by factoring. And if we factor when this is a negative number, that gets confusing. It's not wrong, but it definitely is confusing and hard. Okay? So I don't want to develop the habit of doing that. Okay? So absolutely not wrong, and you should get the same answer. Okay? Okay? Okay, let's do another one. You have one in particular you want me to look at? How about some of my special students that were not able to complete the worksheet? Those of you that didn't complete it, give me some problems you want me to go over. What was the reason for not completing it? Didn't understand it, or didn't know it was due? Didn't feel like it because teacher wasn't there?
Wow.
Number 2? Okay, let's see here. 4k squared equals negative 7K plus 65. Okay, so what's the confusion about this one? What's making it hard?
That's actually pretty good. That's actually easy. Just move it forward to right. K to the other side.
Yeah, but what did I say about that?
No, I can do that. I'd rather do it. But like, yeah, it's just like move to the other side. Hop.
Do you guys want, how about if I give you some time to finish this worksheet? Oh, is that number 4?
Yeah,
Yes.
she said number 2.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, do it.
Do it?
Yeah.
Why?
I want to go over that.
But this one.
Okay.
Drill it. What are you? A machine?
Okay.
Drill it.
I am going to give you